Okay, today let's master this pike press drill using the box. Now we need to get into this position and then press up to handstand. Now sounds simple, but for most people you're not going to be able to get off the box. You're going to be in this position and no matter what you try, you can't float the feet. So how do we get to the point where you get in the right position and your toes float up? There's a couple of different things we need to think about. Number one, we need pretty good flexibility when it comes to a pike. So look at this position here. We can make that really juicy, get in super close with the knees bent, and then extend the legs as much as you can. This is a very aggressive, but a very good pike stretch. That's going to help you get into that important 7-like position in the handstand that's going to stop you looking like this and going to help you look like this. Now you can also hold in these positions for time, trying to get your shoulders towards the box and trying to get your hips towards the wall. That works as well. So positioning is a lot. We also need to get very comfortable in taking the shoulders over the hands. So that little planchy feeling that shifts weight this way, that makes the toes light so I can lift. If we're too heavy this way, we're not going to be able to lift. And the best way to get used to that position is using the wall. So first of all, we need to attack it separately. So I've turned the hands out sideways. I'm going to take the shoulders to the wall. This needs to be very strong, not only in repetitions, but I should be able to hold in this position and I'm pushing up. I'm not collapsing. So I'm pushing up nice and strong into the wall there. Now, to start with, that might feel too aggressive. So just move the hands closer to the wall. The closer to the wall you are, the easier it's going to be. Now, once we have that and we're feeling a little bit stronger, we can actually move the box closer and now combine both of those drills. Now, it's a little bit sketchy when we close this gap because we don't have much to work with. It's pretty tricky to get into the position. I'm not actually a big fan of people laying on the box first and getting into it, because what that does is it encourages you to have lots of weight on the box. And we actually want your toes to be very light on the box. But that is one way of getting into it. I actually prefer people to place the hands down on the floor first. Remember, we want that external rotation so the shoulders are happy to go to the wall. Now notice I'm going to take the back to the wall and try and get my hip into the wall. So all of my back is against the wall and then I'm going to push. I can't quite get up there. So I actually need to move the hands a little bit further backwards. So now with this setup here, butt into the wall, low back, shoulders into the wall, and now I'm lifting. Make sure the head is not pushed hard into the wall. Again, I'm not a big fan of using the head for these type of drills. We want it to be the shoulder that's into the wall, the upper back, not the head. Then slowly coming back down again. I actually find that one much, much harder to do than the one when we're not leaning on the wall. But the one when we're not leaning on the wall has a much smaller sweet spot and you need to be perfectly in that position. If not, you're not going to be able to get off the box. Now remember, if you are struggling with this is one of the hardest press variations you can do, the pike press. The tuck press, especially off the box, and the straddle press are much easier, less intense. So you're better off starting with those. If you've got this type of setup, you can go straight into the froggy box position. So with this one here, walk the knees in, shoulders towards the box, heels to butt. Once you get to there, you should be able to lift up, if not all the way, a little bit, or just get a little bit of float. So you're doing like this type of thing. And you start to get the feeling, and then you can play with like single leg and just get comfortable with going up to handstand, not away from the box. So what we don't want is this type of movement. So I'm just collapsing forwards because that's actually going to increase weight into the box and I'm going to feel like I'm going to fall into the void. If you have freestanding handstand is strong enough, I'd recommend you don't even use the wall. And if you're closer to the pike press and the tuck press, this makes more sense anyway to practice the real thing, freestanding. So you can just go through exactly the same drills, but now in the middle of the room there, just make sure that you have a good exit plan if you do go over. Ideally you catch there, but you might go over. You just need to have enough space over here to play with. And also remember that the box isn't the complete picture for the pike press to handstand because you're only doing a partial range. You're going through a very hard bit, the 90-degree position where their legs are parallel with the floor, but we have all this distance from there to the floor to work. So if you are working these box drills, I'd also be working eccentrics. So from here all the way down slowly to the floor. And if you can't do that, do the wall version. So exactly the same as we was doing on the box there. Into the wall, nice and strong, shoulders upper back. When you get to this point, push the low back, mid back into the wall, down nice and slow till tiptoes touch. I could have done with being a little bit further away from the wall because I came down a little bit quick there. So you will need to fine tune that position. But today's video was all about this box drill. If you do have any questions, stick them down in the comments. If you want all the programs and all the tutorials for all the presses, check out my online press course. Links are down in the description, or there's a QR code somewhere here. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one.